Hey, welcome back to the How to Podcast series. It's Dave with you. Hope everything's going awesome with you on your end. A little bit of news. Can I share some news? Yeah, this just in for my Living the Next Chapter podcast. It's my author podcast. Yes, if you're new here, I have more than one podcast. I actually have 9 podcasts. One of them is called Living the Next Chapter. It's an author podcast. And today, that show went over 20,000 downloads. And I couldn't be happier because 20,000 people, that sounds like a big number, right? It is. That's a big number. Go Google 20,000 people as an image. Yeah, it's a lot of people. 20,000 downloads for that podcast. And what I love is that means 20,000 interactions with amazing authors who have been on my show, coming on to share their stories. Authors as young as 5 years of age and as old as 89 as a first-time author coming on the podcast to share their journey as an author. And what I love about Living the Next Chapter, and I'm very biased because it's my show, is I'm not an author, and I am the host of the show. So, if you've been here through the How to Podcast series and listening to this show, and you're like, I wonder if Dave has another show. Well, again, I have 8 other shows on top of this one. Living the Next Chapter, if you love reading, if you love author stories, if you're an author, like a new author and you want some inspiration, I can give you a little sneak peek behind Living the Next Chapter. Here's how I do the show. Okay, and this is a daily Dave, so I'm sneaking this in here for you. What I do, and maybe you'll steal this from me, and I hope you do, I have 2 people that I try to focus on in every episode. I know, the gurus will tell you got to focus on one person. Don't say everybody and all that. I purposely say everybody. Welcome to the show, everybody. Authors on the show, blah, blah, blah. And I say everybody because I talk to 2 people in every episode. I talk to authors who are just starting. And my guest author that I'll be interviewing on that show, they've crossed the finish line, this marathon of writing a book. And the new authors that are listening to the show, well, they've just bought a new pair of shoes. They have no idea what's ahead of them to become a published author. And here they get time with an author to be inspired, to write their story, get in there and learn from an author who's done the thing that they're dreaming of doing. So I honor every author by tapping into my guest and having them share their author journey right from the start. Why do I do this? Steal this idea. What do we want as listeners on our podcast? They show up at the beginning, right? Everyone starts at the beginning of every episode. So I serve the authors first, and I tell my guests about 10% of our conversation is going to be focused on the authors, and we're going to do it at the beginning. So that the authors who are listening, who may or may not be interested in the topic of your book, can still benefit from your encouragement and instruction on their journey as a new author. What am I doing by doing this? Is I'm capturing both of my audiences, the authors that are listening and the readers who I'm going to serve in a moment. So I'm getting that listen. You know that we have to get like a certain amount of the initial listen to count as a stat, right? To count as a listen. So again, I have an author listening. They're just starting. They're going to write a business book. But my guest, they write historical fiction. They've written a cookbook. They're a children's author. They're a mystery author. But my author that's listening, none of those books interest them. But they benefit from getting wisdom from firsthand knowledge from a fellow author. And I get my listen, right? So they can leave. And I don't feel bad about that. I don't feel bad about the fact that they don't stick around to the end. Because after 10% of our conversation focused on the authors, we switch gears on Living the Next Chapter. And I move away from the how-to part of writing a book to the readers who are listening to the show. Now, the readers that show up for my audience on Living the Next Chapter, they don't care about writing a book. They're not here for that. They don't want to learn about writing a book. They're here to learn and read and fall in love with the author that's here on the podcast. That is the group of people we spend 90% of the time talking to, the readers, because I want them to come and support this amazing author. I want them to fall in love with this guest. So when they see their book on a shelf, on a website, when it comes up in conversation, they know that this is the author for them. And they also know that this is the author that they would recommend to their friends and family, because they know what their friends and family love. So I want to sell 2 books at least in every interview. That's my goal. 1 to the listener and 1 to their family or friends as word of mouth about this particular author on Living the Next Chapter. That's my formula for my show. 10% at the beginning of the episode focused on authors, 90% focused on the readers, so that my author gets the chance to talk to 2 audiences in 1 recording. I get my listen from everybody, and my authors can leave if they're not interested in the topic of the book. I'm serving 2 people. Now, the gurus, like I said, they're going to tell you that that is a bad strategy. You should only talk to 1 person. Well, that's one opinion. And remember what we said on the How to Podcast series? There are no rules. So that guru who's telling you there's a rule that you can only talk to 1, well, they're wrong. You can talk to as many people as you want. And in my mind, for this particular show, Living the Next Chapter, I'm focused on 2 people in every episode. So my question to you, as you do your show, who are you thinking of when you record your episode? I tell my guests in the pre-interview, because I pre-interview everyone who comes on my show, and we come back on a different day and do the recording. I do that on purpose for my listeners. And when I sit down with my guests, before we hit record, we unpack this. And we plan out the first 10% geared to authors, the next 90% geared to the readers. I lead them in that direction, but my guest knows exactly who we're talking to. And in that conversation that we have together, we serve our audience, the 2 people that we have in mind in every conversation. And do you know the result? The result is a better connection with the audience. An audience that feels seen and heard and identified and acknowledged by myself as the host and by my guest as we jump into the conversation around this book. Another secret for you. In 580-ish episodes for Living the Next Chapter, I can tell you I have not read 580 books. It's not possible to read that many books. I talk to about 10 to 15 people per week just for Living the Next Chapter. Just for one of my 9 shows. That's how many people I talk to. So there's no way I can read that many books in a week. I just can't. I have a job. I have 8 other podcasts. I edit for people. I don't have time to read that many books. But here's my secret sauce for how I deal with that. Because I don't always get a copy of the book from my guest, what I do is I study the topic of what they're writing about. So if I'm going to have somebody come on and talk about business and how to lead a team, I'm going to go research things about team leadership and know about that topic. And that's part of my research. And then what I do is take that theme and I apply it to my questions so that my author, who's written a book about that topic, can shine, because it features their responses to some of the more popular or more common things around their topic. If I have somebody who's come on and they're writing a book for children, then I'm going to tailor everything towards that author. Every single interview is different. And another thing that I do that some people love as gurus and some people do not, and will tell you that I'm breaking a rule, air quotes here, is I take a clip from somewhere in the conversation and I put it at the beginning of Living the Next Chapter. Why do I do that? Because I'm bored? No, because I tell my guest, this podcast is about you. This podcast, Living the Next Chapter, is not about Dave. Because again, I haven't written a book. So I have zero input to the process of writing because I've never done it. My guest has. I'm here to serve my guest. So I want the first voice that my listeners hear to be my guest. I want that to be an immediate connection with my audience for the sake of my guest, not me. Because this show's not about me. And you're going to hear gurus on other podcasts saying that if you feature guests, then you're not the main thing about your podcast. You're not the main reason for your show. It's all about your guest, and you're giving away all this great content and ability for you to connect with your audience. I push back on that because this show is about my guests. This show is not about me. I'm not here to compare my writing style to my author guest because I've never done it. And in that, I serve my audience. I serve the author that doesn't know the answer to the next question. And I serve the reader who doesn't care about writing a book. They're here for the author. And at the end of the day, at the end of the episode, we have had a great conversation between myself and my guest. Can I give you one more little tip? After over 580 episodes, I don't typically even have a question written out in advance for my guests. I had them when I first started. I needed something to keep me on track. But at this point, I don't. I listen to my guest, I formulate a question in my brain, and ask it. And sometimes I have multiple questions that I got bouncing around in my head, and I try to pick the right one. And what I love about that, it's a real conversation happening in real time. It's not scripted, doesn't feel like it's rehearsed. It's just a natural conversation between two people. And in that moment, I find that we get into some deeper things and we get beyond kind of the surface level conversations and we jump right in. Okay, I'm going to give you one more. The reason I ask at every beginning of every episode of my guest, where are you in this great big world of ours? I ask that because I want people who live there where the author guest lives to be like, oh my gosh, that's my city, that's my state, that's my country, that's my province. Wow. I want my listeners to connect on a geographical level with my guest. And there may be somebody who lives somewhere else. Maybe they're serving in the military and they're serving overseas and they hear a familiar voice with that twang or with that accent that sounds like home. I want to bring a little bit of home to somebody who's listening somewhere far from home. And if my guest can bring a little bit of home to them, then my listener connects with the guest in a very meaningful way. These are all practical things that you can do as a host. And all it takes is practice and listening to a show like this and stealing the ideas. And maybe taking one idea and putting it into practice and trying it. See if it works for you. If it doesn't work for you, there's no loss. Move on and keep trying. But find your voice as a podcaster. Don't rely on just skills and talents. Don't rely just on research and notes and an outline. Rely on connecting with your audience. Rely on connecting with your guest and bring out the best in them in your conversation. That's your homework. That's the next level for you as a host, interviewing your guest, is bring out the best in them. Listen to them. Focus on them. Don't be distracted. And anticipate what the next question is going to be. And make sure that you're all in. wherever you are, be all there. Wherever you are, be all there. Be there with your guest. Be there with your audience. Show up on the microphone and serve. So 20,000 downloads for Living the Next Chapter. I'm really proud of the show. And if you've never heard it, I'd love for you to come over and add to that number and check out some of my friends, these guests, these authors, amazing people who've written and done amazing things. Come and check them out. livingthenextchapter.com. It's a website for that podcast. You can find it everywhere. And listen along. And if you want, one bonus at the very end as we leave. Because I have so many episodes, my hosting site won't allow me to upload all of the recorded episodes that I have done. So what do? I use YouTube and I upload an advance copy of the upcoming episode before I even upload it to my hosting site. Because again, I'm at my max. I'm not allowed to upload anymore. But I have 10, 20 extra episodes done. So I use YouTube as an advanced listen. Uploading it to YouTube a day or two after I record the episode, my guest isn't waiting for a calendar slot in the future. They have access to it immediately, which means it's fresh in their mind, it's easy to share, and it's accessible to the world through my YouTube channel. And my YouTube channel is audio only. Again, I'm breaking all of the rules in podcasting, and people will tell you that an audio podcast with just an image is a terrible idea. Video is better, I would agree with you, but I've reached over 2,000 watch hours for a podcast with no video. And there's over 380 subscribers. So tell me I'm doing it wrong. Could it be better? Obviously. Is it wrong? 2,000 watch hours, 380 people subscribed. What do you think? There are no rules in podcasting. There are no rules in podcasting. Do what you can with what you have, where you are. Go check out Living the Next Chapter. I'd love for your feedback on the episodes. If you're an author or you know an author, I want to talk to you. I'm always looking for guests for that show, and I'd love to feature somebody that I consider to be a friend of this show. Thanks for listening to How to Podcast. Thank you for listening to A Daily Dave. And again, to the 20,000 people and 20,000 downloads for Living the Next Chapter, my heart is full of joy and thankfulness and gratitude for every one of you that decided to press play. Thank you for doing that. Keep podcasting, keep showing up, and do your best and do what you can with what you have, where you are. Thanks for listening.